Government Committee to order for November 12th, 2019. Lots of things on a great agenda this afternoon. First one is calling to order. Second one, approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Motions have been made and seconded. All in favor say yes. Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Carried. And the second one is the approval of the minutes from October 22nd. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Carries. That takes us to 3 items on our consent business agenda, all of which are comp plan and comprehensive sewer plans from Oak Park Heights, Brooklyn Center, and Farmington. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Move approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Carries. That takes us to number 5, our non-consent business agenda. And the first item up, we're going to be hearing about Water Efficiency Grant Program. Mr. El Hassan, welcome back.
Mr. Chair, committee members, thanks for inviting us back again to talk about our grant program. And this grant program, you heard the presentation about 2 months ago. Mr. Brian Davis came here in front of the committee and gave an overview of the grant program, the history of the grant program. But I would like to give a couple of high-level reminders of that presentation. The grant program was created in 2015. Receiving money from the Clean Water Fund from the state of Minnesota. And it's funded for $500,000 for 2 years in 2015 and 2016. Why we created that program? To support sustainability goals of the Water Resources Policy Plan and also outcomes of the Thrive 2040, targeting mainly sustainability and stewardship of our resources. The program also is aligned with the Master Water Supply Plan strategy for water conservation. And also the program has a significant return on investment for the communities. It saves money in the long term for utilities and for the residents of many of the communities who receive the funding. In 2015, 19 communities applied for the funding and all of them received what they asked for. The return on the water saved from this program is about 52 million gallons a year. That's what we calculated at that time and estimated. This is water enough for 1,400 people for a year. So it's a small town added to the area. And we used, as I mentioned, the Clean Water Fund. Specifically, we funded specific measures at that time, replacing toilets and washing machines and also smart irrigation controllers. This is the first one. This program have some significance to the communities who are using this program. A good example is City of New Brighton, who is a developed community, have used all of that fund that they received from us to replace toilets in apartment complexes. And the return in one complex, they saved 1 million gallons of water. This is in one apartment complex that replacing just the old toilets saved them 1 million gallons a year. City of White Bear Lake, which is also a developed communities, used all their funding also targeting, most of their funding used to target old toilets as well as irrigation controllers. City like Woodbury have used a lot of the funding for irrigation controllers, which is one of their biggest targets in the area. 2017, we didn't get any funding for the program, unfortunately, and come back again, 2019, we received $750,000. We opened application about early December, around early December, and we received 40 applications from 40 communities in the metro area. This is double the amount of communities who is interested in this program from last time. Unfortunately, we don't have all the money that they asked for. The communities asked for uh, 1.4 million almost for implementing water efficiency. And for that reason, we created a committee that looked into the applications from those different committees. And the committee, first of all, wanted to clearly recommend that all applications will receive grants. We didn't want to turn back anyone. We didn't want to say no to anyone, but we reduced the amount that each one of the communities asked for so that we have enough money that can be distributed among everyone. So many of the communities asked for certain specific amount. Unfortunately, we are not able to provide all that amount, but we gave them some money to continue their programs. And the reason for that we didn't want to return back anyone. We didn't want to say no to any application. Is most of those programs, most of the funding is used for creation of a rebate program at the city level, and those are scalable. So you can create a rebate program with $10,000. You can create it with $50,000. It's just it will go faster if it's $10,000. But it's still, we felt that we would like to continue building on the water efficiency ethic that we have been building over the last 5 years, and we wanted communities to continue those programs. That's why we didn't want to turn anyone back and say, no, we're not going to give you any money. With that, I would like to introduce Dr. Brian Davis, who is a senior engineer with the water supply unit and have been with the unit for 9 years to talk about the ranking procedure and take you through some of the details of how we came up with the scoring and the ranking and how the money is distributed.
Thank you, Ali. Could you pass me the clicker? All right. Hello, Mr. Chair and council members. I'm going to just give you a little background here and detail about how we went through scoring and ranking these applications that we received from the 40 different communities in the metro area for this grant program. As Ali El Hassan said, we received $750,000 from the state legislature in the last summer for this grant program, which was $250,000 more than we received in 2015, so that was good. Last time around in 2015, we had $500,000 available, and we received just about that amount of requests from communities, so not sure what that was. So we were lucky that time. This time, as Ali said, we had more money requested than we have available, so we had to develop a system to score and rank these applications. So the grants are available for municipalities which own or operate a water supply system, and they can have either a grant or rebate program that they operate with this money. The maximum grant amount that we will award is $50,000 and the minimum is $2,000, and we require an additional amount so that the total program that is operated by the municipality is 75% funds from us and 25% funds from the municipality. And there's an example there on the screen showing if a community wants to have a total program that is $20,000 funded, then $15,000 comes from us and $5,000 comes from them. So we received 40 applications totaling nearly $1.4 million. 17 of the 40 applicants are return applicants from the last round, from the last program, which is nice. There are only 2 communities from the last round that didn't apply, so the majority of the municipalities, I think, were pleased with their participation last time. Total funding available is $787,000. That's $750,000 from the legislature plus a little bit of money that we had left over from last time. So we had 40 applicants from all across the 7-county metro area. The amounts that were requested, of course, varied from the maximum $50,000 all the way down to a minimum of, let's see here, Dayton was the smallest amount, yeah, $2,000 for Dayton. But most of the asks were on the high side, at or close to $50,000. So because the amount asked for exceeded what's available, we developed a scoring system so that we could rank the applications. And we used a number of different factors in the development of this scoring system. These factors were something that we didn't have to use last time because, as I said before, last time what was asked for equaled what we had roughly. This time that was not the case. So some of the factors, or all the factors are shown here. The date the application was received, the total gallons per capita per day water demand in the municipality, the residential gallons per capita per day water demand in that municipality, their peaking factor, which is the summer to winter ratio of water use in the community, the number of water supply issues that are identified in our master water supply plan that impact that municipality, their population growth between 2010 and 2040, if they're a return applicant or not. We wanted to reward those who came back to some degree. And also the dollars requested divided by the gallons per year that the municipality estimated would be saved through their program. That was another thing that they had to provide to us. So we developed a scoring system for the 40 applicants. It's kind of a golf scoring system where you really want a lower score, not a higher score. So keep that in mind. The total possible score, which would be the absolute worst score one could have, is 303. Nobody had that score because one community didn't happen to fall into the lowest category for each of those factors combined. So the applicant scores ranged from 65 as a low to 225 as a high. So Lake Elmo came in with the lowest score of 65, and Robbinsdale came in with the highest score of 225. And as I said, 303 was the maximum possible. So even the highest scoring community didn't reach up to 303. And I think that's largely a result of the number of factors that we included in the scoring process. So we just did some simple arithmetic to take that score and use it as a factor in reducing the amount that each of the municipalities had asked for. So as an example, Lake Elmo requested $50,000, and as I said previously, their score was 65. So if you take 65 and divide it by 303, which is that maximum possible, you get 21.5%. And so we took their $50,000 and multiplied it by 21.5% and rounded it to get them to 40,000. And we basically did that for each of the communities that applied. So we took that score and used the arithmetic and the percentage that we got to reduce the amount that they had asked for to something less than that. So the communities that had the lowest score had the least reduction, and the communities that had the highest score had the highest amount of reduction. And one thing that I'll say here is that in addition to each municipality getting a grant award under this system, so nobody is getting turned down, another thing that we will do this time, as we did last time, was if a community is not using all the funds that they have available in their program, we have the right to ask them to release them so we can move them to a municipality that has used them all and has more need. And we did that last time with some success. It was actually pretty easy to do. So we awarded the amounts to each of the 40 communities based on that scoring system, and with this methodology, we ended up using $787,100 of the available funds, which is just $600 short. So this, not magically, but very conveniently, this method worked out to actually do the reduction almost exactly as we wanted or needed to have done. So you can see that the Lake Elmo requested 50,000, they're going to get 40,000. Robbinsdale had the highest score. They requested 15,000, they'll get 4,000 from us out of it. And all the other communities are in a range in percent reduction between those two extremes on the high end and the low end. And looking at the communities, we really have a nice cross section of communities around the metro area. I mean, some are suburban communities or ex-urban communities that are developing really quickly and have a lot of land and a lot of population growth. And there are some that are not. Some are, first-rank suburbs, that are not developing quickly now, but they're still interested in participating. So the proposed action today is that the Metropolitan Council authorize its regional administrator to award and execute the water efficiency grant program amount, grants recommended in attachment A in the total amount of $787,100. And I would be happy to take any questions you have at this time about the process.
Any questions, please?
Thank you, Chair. Interested to know why Minneapolis and St. Paul aren't on the list. Did they not seek awards?
Mr. Chair and council members, Minneapolis and St. Paul did not apply
Okay.
to the program.
And then a second question, Mr. Chair, thank you. So do we consider, I'm interested to know why we offered like 3-to-1 match versus say 2-to-1 or 1-to-1 just to make the resources go further. Do we have evidence that applications would have fell off if we would not have offered the 3-to-1 match? Or is that just what folks kind of settled in on?
Mr. Chair and council members, that's a good question. When we developed this program back in 2015 for the 2015 to 17 biennium, I worked with the I&I program here in developing the matching percentage, and I do not remember what conversation we had at that time about that percentage, or if we had one. I would not be surprised if we did, but it was 4 years ago. But I think that's a good question that we need to investigate. Hopefully we get another, time around with the program 2 more years from now, because yes, I mean, I would be all in favor of stretching the funds as far as possible. I'm not quite sure what the best percentage is for that as a match. And I can't tell you if 25% is the best. I don't know. It's certainly worked so far, but maybe there is a better number than that. And I'm curious to know myself.
Mr. Chair,
Please.
if I can address the two questions, I just add what Brian mentioned, Mr. Chair and committee members. Minneapolis and St. Paul are one of the lowest water users in the metro area. If we look at the per capita water use, their water use have been significantly going down, and for many times, for many reasons, they don't want that to go less than that. So they wanted to continue having at least the amount of water that they're using right now. I think Minneapolis and St. Paul, they have the lowest per capita residential. If I'm not mistaken, it's ranging between 45 gallons per person per day to 50, and those numbers are very low compared to many of other communities in the metro area. So water efficiency, they have been applying a lot of water efficiency for many years. That's now they are not applying for this grant program to go into that direction. They're going into other directions to improve their water use. Regarding the percentage, and because this program we started this program, we wanted to encourage communities to apply for this program. That's why we created 75% and 25%. And we were hoping gradually we're going to change that into 50-50 or 33% from us, 60% from the communities. But we wanted to have the ethics of, and also the communities to have the ability of creating a fund in their financial system that goes for water efficiency grants. And we are lucky that in 2015, a lot of the communities created that amount of fund. This is now became a certain amount that's in their budget that we are going to fund the water efficiency grants. Then came 2017, we didn't get any funding. And so now 2019, we have to restart the program again. And hopefully by next time, we'll have enough information, enough data, and enough appetite from the communities that we will start looking into changing gradually the percentage of funding that we make available, so it can go further in developing this program.
Great. Other questions, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Are we the first ones to see the scoring system? And if we're not, has there been any feedback from communities on do they feel that it's fair?
Mr. Chair, committee members, we shared the scoring criteria with the communities. We did a meeting in metro cities where all the applicants came into that meeting, and Brian actually did a presentation explaining to them all the criteria that if we receive more applications than what we have, then those are the criteria that we are going to go through for evaluation of this program. At this point, you are the first to see the results of the ranking, but all the communities have seen even through the application process. When we advertise this program, we listed almost all those criteria out there, that these are the criteria we're going to evaluate. We're going to use to evaluate applications in case that we receive more applications than what we have funded. So you are the first to see the results of this ranking system, but we have shared all the ranking factors and ranking criteria to all the communities.
Okay.
I'm still learning what the roles are for the different committees, but is this something that MOSAC would be interested in the future, like the scoring criteria, or being a part of the evaluation, or crafting any sort of future? Question to whoever wants to take a crack at that one.
Well, I've only chaired one meeting so far, so.
You're learning just like I am.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, committee members, MOSAC doesn't have the authority to go into determining who get how much. It's the sole responsibility falls on the Met Council, who is receiving this funding from the state of Minnesota. But MOSAC have been very crucial in getting this funding from the state. Actually, MOSAC is the entity that's sent letters to the Clean Water Council and send letters also to the legislatures to support this funding on behalf of the communities. And also MOSAC have coordinated with metro cities so that they can get the support to get the funding for the communities. It was we are working with metro cities and with all the communities in the metro areas so that we can get the support that we needed in front of the legislature. But MOSAC doesn't have the authority to approve or distribute this funding.
Sure, thank you. Other questions? I'm wondering about, so there's 40 communities. Some are getting a pretty small amount. Robbinsdale, I think, is $4,000. I'm wondering, so understanding that a lot of these are rebate type programs, are there templates that cities, can there be any sharing between these communities? You know what I mean? Or do the residents have to send in their rebate form to each respective city? Is there any sort of sharing or templates that we share with communities? You know what I mean?
Yes, Mr. Chair, that's a good question. That is something that we are going to pursue more this time around than we did last time, is in the sharing of templates and examples of forms online or paper that can be filled out by residents of each of these 40 communities. We didn't do that at all last time. And I did learn between now and then that a couple of the communities that are close to each other in proximity decided to do that just on their own because they knew it would help them. And I've talked with them about that, and I have suggested to them, I haven't floated this to other communities yet because we haven't yet released the awards and they don't know if they've received them yet. But I'm going to float the idea of actually convening a meeting pretty early on in the next year for all the communities to get together and to talk about that and to bring examples for those communities that have examples of things that worked last time, and there are a number of them because 17 are return applicants. I'm going to ask them to bring those things so we can share them because I know they're out there, and we don't necessarily have them because we're not actually running the grant programs ourselves. I mean, these are actually being run by the 40 communities separately. But I think we can really help them. We can kind of help them help themselves, basically, by getting them all together. Because otherwise, it's a lot of them don't know each other or see each other, right? I mean, their communities are pretty far away in some cases from each other. So that's a great question, and we're gonna do that this time.
Fantastic. Please.
Mr. Chair, are similar grant programs available, not necessarily through us, but through other entities for school districts? Three of the entities that I represent are a part of the same school district, and they just passed a bond issue last week to build a new high school. I'm just curious, if they're going to build a new high school, why not do it and make some smart decisions that will save water?
Mr. Chair and committee members, that's a important topic and a really good idea. I do know that schools are large irrigators because they have lots of athletic fields and grounds in general around their schools. So there's a lot of opportunity at schools to be more efficient in their water use, and especially with the new school going in. I mean, that's the right time to be putting in, the right equipment to do that. This particular program is one that is only for replacement of existing equipment and systems, not for new.
Okay.
So for a new school, this would not work. But there are plenty of existing schools out there that need the help, and school districts could certainly apply, to participate in this in whatever city that as long as the city is a member of one of these a member of our program, they could participate in it if they choose to do so. It is primarily targeted at residences, but also, some commercial properties can definitely fall into the mix. And we saw that last time around in some cases, but whether it was schools or city properties that are, city halls, parks, and things like that.
Right.
So, important.
Well, I think I read in the master supply plan or someplace something coming out of the Met Council that we have 800,000 more people coming into this region, right, in the next couple of decades. And that if we were about 10% more efficient with our water, thereabouts, we could bring in all these new people and not increase our water usage. So if we went from 100 gallons a day per person to 90, we could keep our water levels, we could keep our water usage level, and that's going to require a lot of new aerators and water efficient shower heads and toilets and smart irrigation meters and all the things that you're talking about. So this is a great program. Another question?
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I brought this up during the budget conversation a few weeks ago, just about making the most of our limited general fund, and I just feel like these programs where we put some resources in and then communities have an incentive to apply and match the resources, and we just get more bang for our buck. So I think it's a great program, and thank you for your work, and encourage us to keep this in mind as we make decisions related to our larger general fund.
It's all about leveraging funds. Get the most bang for your buck. Sure. Please.
Move approval?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. That takes us to the second item on our non-consent business agenda, which is Empire Wastewater Treatment Plan. Solids Phase 1 and miscellaneous very important improvements. A big project.
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, I'm here this evening to introduce Heidi Hutter to the Environment Committee. This is the first time that Heidi's been before the committee. Heidi is a senior engineer in technical services, and she's worked with the Metropolitan Council since 2011. Heidi supports our East Business Unit, which consists of our wastewater treatment plants at Eagles Point, located in Cottage Grove, Hastings, St. Croix Valley, which is located in Oak Park Heights, and Empire. As a project manager, she advances projects that renew our existing facilities in order to protect our investment in our assets, serve growth, or to make a business process improvement. And on the project before you, you will see all three of those objectives of our capital program being met. So this project also required an amendment to an existing conditional use permit that the Metropolitan Council holds. That amendment had to be approved by the Empire Township Planning Commission and by the Empire Township Town Board. Heidi did a fabulous job representing us at those meetings, and so I wanted her to be able to present this evening.
Welcome.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members of the Environment Committee. My name is Heidi Hutter. I'm a senior engineer in the Technical Services Plant Engineering Group, and I'm very pleased to present business item 2019324SW, Empire Wastewater Treatment Plant, Solids Phase 1, and miscellaneous improvements. The Empire plant was originally constructed in 1979 with the treatment capacity of 6 million gallons per day. The most recent expansion occurred in 2005 and increased the liquids treatment capacity of that facility to 24 million gallons per day. At that time, expansion of solids treatment capacity was deferred. In April of 2013, the Empire Wastewater Treatment Plant Solids Improvements Facility Plan was approved by Council under Business Item 2013193. This plan provides for increased solids treatment capacity using existing infrastructure and includes other asset preservation and energy efficiency improvements. The facility plan is being implemented in 2 phases. This contract is Phase 1, which includes the following. Biosolids pad improvements will increase storage capacity by covering an existing 4-acre biosolids storage pad. Partial biogas treatment will remove moisture in the biogas prior to use as fuel for boilers. Future Phase 2 work will add additional treatment for a combined heat power system that will generate electricity and heat for on-site use. Boiler system renewal will replace the existing boilers with larger, more efficient units to serve plant heating needs. Additional miscellaneous improvements are also being constructed under this contract. The Empire Plant's entrance road is at end of service life and will be replaced. A new high-strength waste receiving facility will be constructed to allow the Empire Plant to digest industrial waste and to make additional biogas. The biogas will fuel a future combined heat and power system that will generate electricity and heat for on-site use. The project also constructs electrical improvements to remove obsolete equipment and mitigate arc flash. The engineer's estimate is $21,413,451. The Office of Equal Opportunity set a disadvantaged business goal of 13%. 3 bids were received on October 3rd, 2019. One from Rice Lake Construction in the amount of $23,745,060. One from Schenck Constructors in the amount of $24,693,840.46. One from Corval Group in the amount of $28,528,321.04. The 3 bids received are close in price, indicating that the design documents are clear. The engineer's estimate appears to be low for work associated with biosolids pad improvements and partial biogas treatment. We attribute this difference to a strong construction market, which results in increased prices for labor and materials. Rice Lake Construction Group was determined to have the lowest responsible bid. The Office of Equal Opportunity reviewed and passed their good faith efforts for DBE participation. Therefore, it is staff's recommendation that the Metropolitan Council authorize its regional administrator to award and execute a construction contract for the Empire Wastewater Treatment Plant Solids Phase 1 and miscellaneous improvements. MCES project numbers 807-400, 807-415, 807-825, 807-826, contract number 19P155 with Rice Lake Construction Group for an amount not to exceed $23,745,060. I would be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Ms. Hutter?
I don't have any
questions, just a comment. It worked out really. I was here back in 2013, and I remember talking about doing the electrical generation stuff, and it sort of blurred after that. And I thought it had been constructed and didn't realize that that got approved, but then sat on the shelf all this time. But it worked out that it's weighted because we can do the IPIP project at the same time. If you're not aware, if you haven't been to Empire plant, they have what looks like a giant dumpster right now where the dairy down the street brings the whey from their processing. And apparently that's really bad if you put it through all the aerators and stuff, but it's really good if you put it straight into the anaerobic digesters. And so being able to build a permanent thing for that as part of the overall project worked out very nicely. So I would move approval.
Great. Motion's been made.
Second.
Is there a second, I just have before we vote on that, I have a question too. So what is the rationale? I saw that it was 2013 when the plan was adopted. What's the rationale for the delay?
Yeah, the facility, Mr. Chair, members of the Environment Committee, the facility plan was adopted in 2013. After that occurs, we also have to select a designer, and that takes about a year, and then we go through preliminary design activities. The biosolids pad improvements I mentioned, part of that facility plan was to do a pilot and to demonstrate the best option to design, and that pilot took us 3 years. And the reason it took us 3 years is because we tested multiple pad management strategies, and then we also wanted to be able to test those seasonally, so we were ensuring that we were providing the best value to the council.
Makes sense. Question?
No, Mr. Chair, I'm just going to inform you that I'm going to abstain from this vote.
Very good. Thank you. Please.
I just had one question about renewable energy. How much more renewable energy capacity will we get with this change?
Mr. Chair and members of the Environment Committee, we anticipate that we'll see about 30% internal use of electricity and heat from that system.
And there's no CHP there right now. Is that correct? This isn't building or rebuilding the current CHP. It's a brand new CHP system. Great.
Yep.
Other questions or comments? Great job with your presentation, by the way. I hope to have you back before the committee again. So there's been a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Carries. Thank you very much. That takes us to the third item, which is the master contract for owner's agent and other technical services for Metro Plant solids management improvements, services building, and analytical laboratory building. Welcome. That's a mouthful.
It is. I get to say it about 2-3 more times. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members of the Environment Committee. My name is Renee Heflin. I am Manager of Plant Engineering Technical Services, and it is my pleasure to present Business Item 2019-325SW, Master Contract for Owner's Agent and Other Technical Services for Metro Plant Solids Management Improvements, Services Building, and Analytical Laboratory Building. This is a proposed professional technical services contract that will help us to deliver 2 projects at the Metro Plant using design, build, delivery. The value of these services is estimated at $14 million. One project will add a 4th incinerator at the Metro Plant to increase solids treatment capacity. Additional capacity is needed to preserve existing wastewater treatment plant infrastructure and to serve regional population growth through 2050. The estimated construction cost is $150 million, and the 3-year design build construction contract is scheduled for 2021 through 2024. We have another design build project at the Metro Plant to build a new services building and modify the existing analytical laboratory building. This project will allow us to assemble work groups by function to improve efficiency and effectiveness. The estimated construction cost is $30 million, and the one-year design-build construction contract is scheduled to start next year. One of the advantages of design-build delivery is a compressed schedule because the design and construction occur simultaneously. The request for proposals for the owner's agent services was advertised on June 17th, and on August 21st, we received 2 proposals, one from Black & Veatch Corporation and one from Jacobs Engineering. After the Office of Equal Opportunity determined that both proposers met the council's good faith efforts, the 2 proposals were evaluated by an evaluation panel. The panel consisted of 6 environmental services staff, 2 external stakeholders, one from the city of Maple Grove and one from the city of Eagan, and then one environmental services technical advisor. The proposals were evaluated based on quality of the proposal, qualification of the proposer, staff experience, service delivery, and price. By consensus, the panel determined that the proposal submitted by Black & Veatch Corporation represents the best overall value to the council, whereas the panel did not identify any significant weaknesses or deficiencies in either proposal, and both proposals were deemed to be very good. The Black & Veatch proposal most closely aligned with the scope listed in the RFP, and their service delivery plan demonstrated the best understanding for advancing the Metro Plant projects. Therefore, the proposed action before the Environment Committee is that the Metropolitan Council authorize the regional administrator to execute a master contract for owner's agent and other technical services for Metro Plant solids management improvements, services building, and analytical laboratory building. Contract 19P011. Council members, that is a typo. The correct contract number is 19P011 with Black & Veatch Corporation in the amount not to exceed $14 million, $14,468.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions from you?
Questions for Ms. Heflin? Please.
Well, thank you, Chair. Ms. Heflin, I was just going to ask, was this also the low bidder on the project? I know they both seem to be qualified, but I didn't know if this was actually the lowest bidder of the 2.
Mr. Chair, members of the Environment Committee, this was not the low bidder. The level of hours, the hours budget was the same. We did an estimate by staff, and there were saved number of hours, so it's just a little difference in the cost based on who was proposed for the project. The proposal, it's not a bid, the proposal for, if I remember, Black & Veatch Corporation is, as you saw there, $14,468, and the proposal from Jacobs was a little more than $13,500,000, and it was strictly in the rates, the labor rates, but not in the labor hours.
Okay, all right, thank you. Can I just
Please. Yeah.
So this might be a bigger one, but I'm just kind of wondering what kind of debt service load do we have between this plant, the Empire plant, to our current environment debt service load right now? What kind of percentage does that add to it?
See, Mr. Smith is back there too. That might be a...
Good help. Is he walking this way?
He is. Help is on the way. Debt service load.
Good afternoon, members of the committee. I'm Ned Smith. I'm the Director of Finance for Met Council Environmental Services, Revenue and Finance. We don't necessarily track our debt load by plant. We're aware of it, but we don't really think about, we don't allocate it out. We kind of play it as a giant lump sum. I can tell you we have about $1.3 billion outstanding debt right now. So, and I can also tell you that that is always predicated on a $120 to $150 million a year capital budget. And so a lot of people like to think about, well, is this incrementally going to increase my rates because of this? And all of our rate projections are based on the assumption that you're going to spend 120 to 150 million a year in capital. And so the point is, if we didn't spend it here, there's plenty of other projects where we would. And so we will always be spending 120 to 150 million. So it doesn't really incrementally increase. But again, if you think about it as a portion of 1.3 billion, that's the component.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
What?
3 years.
And it's a 3-year plan. So we'll only be borrowing a third of that per year.
Thank you. Other questions? Yeah, please.
Thank you, Chair. So I'm just used to seeing the different proposals show up. So I'm wondering, how is this different than the other proposals that come before us, where it basically says, like, here's the bid and here's the other bid, and or in this case, I would expect, like, here was what Black and Veatch proposed at what cost, and here's what Jacobs proposed and at what cost. And if the recommendation was to go with a higher proposal, then to lay out the rationale for that. But I'm curious to know why that didn't show up here.
Please.
Mr. Chair, members of the Environment Committee, there is a summary report of panel findings that's routed for signature and approval. Now we'll just say that it's not a bid.
Yeah.
It's a proposal, and it has 5 factors. And those are, I read them out: the quality of the proposal, the experience of the proposer. Let me see here, several factors. But the findings are summarized. Let me see. Just can't. So those are quality of proposal, the qualifications of the proposer, staff experience, the service delivery plan, and also price. There are 5 factors, and the evaluation results are summarized in a report, an evaluation of findings report. And this is standard. One of the differences is that this is a professional technical services contract.
Okay, thank you.
Did that make sense? We've had one before where,
right.
where it's basically services, and sometimes you can pay a little more for the expertise and save money on the resulting project because you've got people who really know what they're doing. So it ends up being evaluated differently from, this is a pipe, this is what we want you to do the pipe, how much is it going to cost? These are the people that are designing how it's going to happen, and they can save us money by knowing the right way to do something.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. So, I understand the rationale. I think you could also make the same case, whether it's professional technical service, construction, whatever. And I think if we're transparent with bids that come before us, it might be in our best interest to be transparent about the price. And not to get hung up on the price, but that is where we go on bids, and so. I think if we were asked a question as it related to why do we award a contract for this kind of work, and why wasn't it awarded to the lowest price, it would be helpful to really have that illustrated for us in these kind of presentations, not just in the paperwork, but in the PowerPoint.
really to make the case of why does this company have the expertise that we're looking for, and really responded to the RFP and in the way that we were looking for. It's a great point. And with that, any other questions or comments? Is there a motion to approve? Motion has been made, and is there a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That takes us to item number 7 on our agenda, which is the Chanhassen Interceptor Rehabilitation. Welcome.
Welcome, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. My name is Chad Davison. I'm a principal engineer in environmental services. Here to present to you business item 2019326, Chanhassen Interceptor Rehabilitation, interceptor number 8253-328. So on the image here is a site of the, or image of the project area. It's about 2,800 feet of existing concrete sewer. We're going to be lining it with cured in place liner. Property to the west of the alignment in pink shown on the map is currently being developed by Lennar, developer, building single family homes and whatnot. So we saw this as an opportunity to get in and do rehab on our pipe before we have a bunch of infrastructure in the way, possibly save some money as far as access. We have a cooperative agreement with the city to line 1,000 feet of city pipe. There is a city pipe that comes from the development to the southwest on the map and enters into our manholes enters into our system at manhole number 46. It's a flow that we would have to mitigate to line our pipe anyways, so just moving that point where we take this flow out of the system a little farther upstream so we can help them with their pipe. Engineer's estimate was roughly 4.23 million. 4 bids received range from 3.69 million to 4.52 million. Lowest bid received was Vigisur Incorporated. Our disadvantaged business goals for this project was 12%. Vigisur did meet that goal. They proposed to utilize 12.17% of disadvantaged business. So they have been approved by OBO. So the proposed action in front of you tonight is that Metropolitan Council authorizes regional administrator to award and execute a construction contract for the Chanhassen Interceptor Rehabilitation 8253-328. MCS project number 802883, contract number 19P199 with Vigisur Incorporated for the low responsive and responsible bid of $3,690,537.25. Be happy to answer any questions you may have on the project.
Questions for Mr. Davison?
Thank you,
So
Mr.
this one
Did you have a question? Otherwise, I was
Well,
going
no,
to
I just gonna make a comment. I was just gonna make a comment.
Because I was just going to say, I'm really happy that we're able to do this cooperatively when they're digging up the area anyway, so that we don't have all of those brand new homeowners freaking out over what we're doing in their backyards. And I'm also happy that we can find the corrosion in the pipe and fix it while it can still be done with a cured in place pipe rather than having to replace the entire pipe. So I would move approval.
Mr. Davison, are you happy not to get those phone calls from the future residents?
Very happy, yes. It's a very active site right now, so we'll kind of blend in with the construction going on.
And I would just second that and make a comment that the slides were very visually stimulating with the picture and that kind of thing. So
all right.
it starts with the pink.
Welcome.
Motion's been made. Do I have a second? Second, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Any members?
And that takes us to our last item, which is the master contract for geotechnical engineering and testing services. Mr. Gordon, welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and committee members. Tonight I'm presenting a business item 2019327, master contract for geotechnical engineering and testing services. The need for this contract is to help support our capital delivery. We have approximately 980 million in our ACP, and this translates into about $600,000 in annual expenses towards geotechnical services. And the proposed $2 million contract, so approximately a 3-year period, will provide contract capacity needed for design and construction materials testing to support capital projects. So the scope of this master contract is geotechnical investigations that we use during design, as well as hydrological investigations. And then when we get into construction, vibration monitoring and geotechnical modeling for like caissons and tunnels and other deep foundations. And then construction materials testing, so like concrete testing in our new structures, or pavement, or density testing. So like Renee Heflin's last proposal, this is also a quality-based proposal. So the proposals are ranked upon the qualifications and the cost for the services. Those qualifications in this case being both the quality or responsiveness of the proposal, the qualifications of the proposer, and the experience level of the proposer. And then they go back through a cost proposal, even though it's set at $2 million, they check what the services individually are cost in the proposal and check them to see if they're fair and reasonable with regards to comparing to the other proposals and to our knowledge of what those services should be and cost. So 5 proposals were received and evaluated, and the recommended award contract value was to American Engineering Testing for $2 million. And that firm was ranked with the highest ranked and demonstrated the best with the related experience and expertise. So the proposed action is that the Metropolitan Council authorizes the regional administrator to negotiate and execute one master contract for $2 million with American Engineering and Testing. And I can take some questions.
Any questions? A lot of the work that we do is way down in the ground, and this is to get a good, solid understanding of what the soils are and the groundwater that's down there. And then we incorporate that into the construction documents, utilizing the work that these folks will do. Is that about right?
That's correct, Mr. Chair.
Very good. Is there a motion to approve?
Move approval.
Second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That takes us to our last item, our general manager's report. What do you got for us?
So we're winding down, and that means November, we only have one council meeting, December as well because of the holidays. So you're going to see these items on tomorrow's council meeting. So don't be surprised when you see them already the day after. And I'm going to keep it brief because you've got a really big agenda tomorrow, so you need to get your strength up for that one.
We do. Very good. And with that, we are adjourned. Thank you very much, everybody.